I need help, boss.
Stands up and says it louder. He goes, I have a really big penis.
We're the NSAA. We're never serious about anything except grip ball.
I have drifted an aircraft carrier.
What?
To an extent, but you'd be out there alone as fuck.
Just bump into people by osmosis of dopeness, you know? Welcome, everybody. It is the Happy Hoodlums Podcast. We got an oh no alert.
Yep, off rib.
All
Oh,
good.
damn
You know, there's
Well,
been
welcome to
some
episode 39 for the second week.
it. For real.
39 2.0. We just decided to run it back. Still working out some kinks, but
Yep.
it's your host Kemper Woodruff, along with the very powerful Zachary Sampson. And I gotta stop stealing Joe Rogan's shit for Jamie.
Yeah.
But we also
Wow,
got
wow.
Josh on the ones and twos.
Yo,
And-
1, 2, 3.
Yes, sir.
Check.
This week, I wish I had a little bit better intro and a better start, but sometimes you just gotta run that bitch through some rocks and hope you don't fucking bottom out. So we're gonna see where this one goes, because it has been a doozy of a day for your boy, on top of some stuff that I've already mentioned health wise. There's some stuff regarding my dad's passing that is, I can't get into the details of it, but pressing matters. And it can astound me how inhumane people can be,
Yeah.
and inconsiderate. However, I will say that a leopard doesn't change its spots. And in time, you see the truth, because the lies are ever changing. And those are two wisdoms that I've combined from my mom and from Mr. J. Prince himself, who wrote the book Respect. And, he founded Rap-A-Lot Records and all that good stuff. So if you don't know about J. Prince, definitely look him up and have him on your radar. Also want to give a big old shout out to Dale Comstock, if you don't know about the American Badass himself. Straight up warrior, incredible man, honorable dude. Got to give praises where praises are due. So eventually you guys will understand why that shout out has come into this episode. But I figure some things are, when something's pertinent to the moment, and at the top of your head and on your heart, say it, and don't wait to praise where you can, because life can be full of fucking bullshit. But without further ado, boys, what do you have on your awesome, lighthearted little worlds these days, and minds and hearts?
I actually want to wrap it back to something you were saying.
Mm.
The truth part, right? I'm actually reading this book by Miyamoto Musashi called The Book of the Five Rings.
Yeah.
And it's about strategy. And he has 9 rules to strategy. And the predominant topic in most of them is about truth and knowing what's true and what's false, and being able to look at things objectively. And it's really insane, because some of these make sense and a lot of them apply to life today.
Yeah.
It fucking blew my mind.
Okay, so give us a for instance, please.
Okay, I mean, do you just want me to fucking read them?
Yeah,
Got the
go ahead.
book.
Read it.
Bet. Let me find this shit. But dude, these things blew my mind. I was reading them during my workout, and I was like, wait a second. This is crazy.
There we go. I'm hopping in here.
Bet.
Oh, no. There we go.
Where are they?
We almost had
Oh
a
my God.
clean transition right there,
Nice, dude.
but I messed it up. Yo, what's up, stream? And the
Here. All right, I got 'em.
YouTubes.
All right.
I mean,
So number
popcorn.
1, it says, do not harbor sinister designs. Think honestly and truthfully. Number 2, the way is in training. One must continue to train. Number 3, cultivate a wide range of interests in the 10 skills and 10 arts. Then one can definitely find the benefits of Hyoho and develop oneself. 4, be knowledgeable in a variety of occupations and learn the thinking of people who work in them. Know the difference between loss and gain in worldly matters. Number 6, nurture the ability to perceive the truth in all matters. It is important to build up an intuitive judgment and understand true values. Number 7, be aware of those things which cannot be easily seen with the eye. Develop intuitive judgment and a mind that freely controls one's body. 8, do not be negligent, but pay attention even to the smallest details. Keep them in mind all the time so as to avoid unexpected failure. 9, do not engage in useless activity. Do not argue about useless things. Concentrate on your duties. And I'm reading about this shit, and I'm like, what? What? Like, especially with, like, the whole truth thing and needing to know the truth. So many people now either want to hide the truth or pretend like it's possible to change it. And it's like, you can't change what's true, guys.
There's objective reality and subjective reality. And
Yeah,
I think,
one comes down to perspective.
I'm reading a book about synchronicity right now that is a fascinating read. And they talk about subjective reality appearing to be acausal, right? So it's like
What do you mean by what does that mean?
something that does, like, objective reality has cause and effect. It's the physical world and aspects of something, right?
Yeah.
But then the subjective nature of something has to do with the perceiver of it and the symbolisms within their psyche through which they perceive whatever they're looking at, right?
Yeah.
Because it's influenced by your consciousness, you know? And this goes like way into like quantum theory and kind of crazy shit, but I guess in terms of when you're dealing with people, right? The emotional essence that someone brings and carries with them through their soul's intention is something that takes discernment and spiritual maturity to understand, because you have to become indifferent to the objective doings of this person. Does that make sense?
Bro.
You're fucking my brain at the moment.
When did I get such a friend that is a young scholar? like holy, bro.
This isn't me as much as like we all have a connection to the river of energy that is God and the bandwidth of frequency. And when you become more indifferent to your influence upon it for any kind of like grandiose thing, you know, like I don't need to be put on a pedestal to be a purveyor of truth, you know, and my want for someone's enlightenment has nothing to do with my own. And when you can reach that state and begin to keep yourself in check, you can become more aware to the true nature of something rather than being influenced by the symbolism of your own perspective although it is the symbolism and through that symbology that uniquely you are given guidance in relation to what you're perceiving.
Holy shit. You kind of just fucking blew my fucking face off, dog.
Yeah, bro. My
Well,
face blown off.
you guys, it's kind of like my
You want
mom
to know
always
what's...
told me,
Never mind.
when the student is ready to learn, the teacher appears, right?
Okay.
And so
Oh, you appeared.
we're filled to the capacity of our willingness to seek, you know? Kind of like you're reading a book and you can't make sense of a certain paragraph, right? If you keep reading that fucking paragraph and you keep seeking to understand it and you're open to understanding it, not blocking it and doubting your ability to understand it, right? Despite your level of conceiving this thought right now, eventually it's kind of like a Mad Lib. You'll fill it in with other words and see what feels right. And in that same way, you're discerning the essence of what is being said based on your own ability to subjectively fill in that blank with your own word from your own lexicon in your mind.
My only response to that is when you were talking about rereading something over and over.
Yeah.
The book of the Five Rings is actually meant to be read over and over several times and also researched beyond just the book. And so it's kind of like, I feel like it kind of ties in somehow.
So
it just reminded me of that, but yeah.
Can I give my 2 cents?
Yeah, certainly.
I don't read books, so that's my 2 cents.
We know that, Josh.
Most of what I've learned from listening to people and referencing things against how what they're saying felt to me. And when I was younger, I was a lot more judgmental. And once I asked Jesus to help me, Jesus, I believe, is actually not only a man, but don't die over Jesus. I know that's
Dude.
possibly what we're talking about here, but when I asked Jesus to help me in my life, one of the things that happened was I actually felt in a visceral way a connection to God's spirit within my own, the way it stirred me. And so I believe there's not only symbology that is subjective as well, that draws you to whatever you find belief that leads you to
That's
your
cool.
connection with God, you know? And like, even if you took it in like a biblical sense, there's an explanation wherein I want to say, I think it's Revelations or something. And they're talking about the end of the world, right? And Jesus, I guess God says in the book, you know, my sheep will be called from many flock, right? And that's like, it doesn't matter what your religion is if you live in accordance with God's law and principle of the spirit, you know? And that may be contrary to what a lot of other people who are Christian believe. But I believe Jesus Christ defied all of those things that were sent from like orthodoxy and like strong dogmatic principles, because life is not made it is both in order there's duality in everything. So there's a box that is made of like causality, black and white. This happened, and then that response happened, right? But then there's also a subjective reality that can't fit in that box, and that's why did this happen? And when you attach meaning, which is inherently dictated by intention,
Yeah.
it takes you out of the realm of the physical into what some people would call the realm of consciousness or psychology, and other people would call spirituality and intention. So, I think that no matter what answer you choose, there's always a counter answer to it, and that is the nature of expansion. Because when you're thinking about a frequency, in order for frequency to expand in one direction, it must also expand in the opposite direction. And we see this as in the physical, Newton's law, an equal and opposite reaction.
Yo, in in the book of the Five Rings, they talk about rhythm
Mm-hmm.
and that there's a rhythm to life. And one of the
Yes.
examples was a merchant's life where they have riches, they lose riches, and it to cycle, and so it's like a give and take all the way through, no matter what.
Energy itself moves in waves.
Yeah.
Although, like, and I actually have this whole thing written out. Matter of fact, fuck it. Why? Oh, shit. Hold on. Gravity.
Yeah, bro, take your time.
These are the things that you deal with sometimes. All right. For anyone that's curious, because I don't care to hold secrets, this is the book that I'm reading, Synchronicity, The Bridge Between Mind and Matter by F. David Pete. But here is my theory of conscious evolution. Okay, so this is a roadmap to it. And essentially, I started over here.
It's not quite centered, Kemp. Oh, there you go.
Yeah, so I was looking at this, right? And energy essentially moves in surges of waves, right? So this would be the point of origin, and then it goes woo in a wave, right? Across time and space, right? Now, I'm not the greatest artist in the world, but energy moves in spirals, right? So it's spiraling outward, right? And as this expansion takes place, it's going outward and upward, but in order to keep the frequency bandwidth, right, which runs this way for polarity, in order for duality to exist, right? There must also be a downward spiral going outward as well. And so all of this happens at the same time in order for the poles to exist, right? And I was thinking about it and I was like, but why would this be? And it's like, in order for the dimension to remain intact and of equivalent structure in terms of possibilities, right? Equal and opposite possibilities, just like equal and opposite force, because this is stepping into both realms at once of a causal reality, right? Which is ethereal in essence, and then actual black and white objective reality of what's physically happening and taking place as these decisions are made, right? So, in order for that structure to exist without splitting into another counter dimension, all this must be layered on top of itself. So it must happen at once. And this is basically, it creates the divine order of the universe, right? And so this would be what I think of the Big Bang, right? So the origin of the universe would be right here, right? And this moment is essentially light bursting into the absence of light. And that's why, like, in the Bible, they would say, let there be light, right? And so out of this, we create a spectrum of frequency, right? And that frequency is also simultaneously sent across space and time from this point of origin, right? Now, the energy is moving in a wavelength like this, and at the same time spiraling upwards and downwards. And so energy is would feel like it's imploding and expanding in all directions at all times in varying degrees of intensity as the energy surges itself, right? Causing further expansion, which the energy gains momentum, creating a wider gap in the expansion, creating more space for things to fill in that gap in terms of possibility and in terms of physical life manifested through matter.
Bro.
And so this is where the Fibonacci sequence would come into play, because the Fibonacci sequence is a mathematical explanation of how every time something multiplies, it creates space for something else to fill in the space that was created by the multiplication. Physics.
Off topic. Marco would like to join the podcast tonight.
Yeah, I mean, he can.
Is that cool?
Yeah, I don't
Hold
care.
on.
Let me just wrap this up real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, you wrap that up.
Wait.
Basically, the conscious energy that caused the Big Bang to focus by design, right? Because everything that came after this is a perfect design. That's God, right? Because God exists both within and without, inside and outside of all of this all at once. So this is a theory that pertains to the conscious evolution of thought, matter, and the existence of anything within this universe's life, because this universe has space and time, so it must also have life and therefore be living as well, right? But what caused this is the question that boggles the mind, because it's God. There is no other explanation. But there are ways to explain the way in which matter moves and forms. In that class,
who made God?
is a question that I can't answer.
I feel like God is literally just the unexplained, something we haven't come up with words yet for you.
That's why,
because like when it fucking rained 1,000 years ago, they thought God was making it rain.
Well,
and then they figured out scientifically how it happens.
There's a mantra that is, I am that I am. Right?
Okay.
And I think that is the best explanation of God. My mom put it to me this way when I was little. She would ask me, what is the color of God? And, sorry, whoa, my brain is freaking out on me. Woo! Energy, talking about energy. Like I stuck my toe in a light socket.
What's the color of God?
What is the color of God?
I don't know.
My mom asked me that, and she sent me off to school. I was in like kindergarten.
Whoa.
Right? And I wanted to answer her, but she was like, no, just go to school and think about it. And so I went to school, and I thought about it. I busted out my big old box of like fucking 64 crayons or whatever was there,
And you looked for a color named God.
No, I just looked for a color and was like, well, what would God be the color of, right?
Well, the label it would say God on the side.
Whoa.
If it was God's color.
I'm smarter than even at that time to look for a label to explain to me what God was. But I came back and I was just looking at the colors themselves, right? And my mom was stirring the spaghetti sauce on the stove.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I think I got it. And I went and I ran to my little crayon box and I busted out these crayons, you know? And I started pulling up different colors, you know? I pulled up, you know, yellow and blue and white. And she let me try a couple times. And then she just stopped me and just turned from the stove and said, God is the color of water because he reflects back to you that which you see in it.
Bro, what? That's mine. That is. Whoa, that's a good way to think of it.
That's my mom.
Whoa.
Shout out to mom. Hi, mom.
Shout out, mom. Look at that A-frame ladder.
Hey,
we
Mom.
painting.
Mom.
We painting or something. Dang, look at them dogs. Look at those dogs right there.
So
I'm not gonna lie, dude.
Clip
During
that.
during that speech, I had panic attacks because, like, I was fighting off panic attacks because I started having some thoughts of crazy shit about the universe that I didn't want to think, and I was thinking like, "Yo, dude, it's crazy that even when the Earth is blown up, there's still gonna be life out there somewhere else." And then I thought about what the fuck happens if the whole universe implodes, kind of like how a star implodes. Why wouldn't that happen?
hey, dude.
And if you just go outside and you look up past the clouds, it's forever. And it's getting bigger.
See, that's
infinite.
Shit you think when you're on mushrooms.
Infinity. That's infinity forever.
Yeah, or when you start really looking at the nature of things. But yo, pull
But
Marco
yeah, you were
in here.
giving me panic attacks. Marco, get your ass in here.
Get in
I
here,
don't
boy.
know how that happens. How do you guys get to talk to Marco and he knows, but I can't hear Marco?
He's watching the stream, bro.
Oh, okay. I can't see that shit.
That's okay.
Hey, pull up, Marco. You're one of
Yeah,
the
Marco.
boys. I ain't holding you out. I just had to get through that explanation because it came to me, and I need to find, or no, I have found, and they'll make their way to me, a physicist
Yo,
that can
Zack.
speak about this, because this is what I feel thus far in my primitive little itty bitty levels of research and just understanding of life and the law of attraction and energy and frequency and things like that, manifestations. The best theory that explains all the theories together simultaneously in a logical way, to me. So I'm curious to see what other people think and what can be added on to it and expanded from someone else who may receive something of a thought like you thinking about the imploding of a star, because that's your symbology that makes sense of it all to you. And I'm not saying mine is right and yours is wrong, or one is better than the other because one is complex while one is simple, you know, or more simple in understanding, perhaps.
We gotta move on, bro. My brain's melting, and
Yeah.
I have no way to respond. Like I don't know what to say.
I don't know.
Oh shit, bro.
You know,
fuck.
thoughts are wavelengths or like frequencies, like a.
What's up
like
with
a
you and
radio.
wavelengths, bro?
Because once you start thinking about life in terms of frequencies
Of waves?
and just you can look at nature, right? So like, how did someone discover a fucking wavelength? Well,
A
they
wavelength.
probably felt through their body, right? the way that the energy changed in intensity and equated that to looking at the tides of the ocean or something. As the tide moves in and out from the shore, you feel the energy, although it's not a physical current running over you in terms of like a wave. If you stood in a wave, it'd be easier for you to diagnose that because it's kind of like objective reality running over you, right? Whereas subjective reality requires you to trust your sensation of your sixth sense, which is your emotional sense, your intuition, over your five senses. And it turns your brain into inside out, and you start thinking, well, maybe these five senses are just the way of explaining to me in physical terms, what I'm actually emanating in my spiritual, energetic essence.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Now, fuck.
This is what happens.
No. This is the question. And I'm not asking this because of any specific reason. I'm just curious. But how heavily do you question the things that you believe in? Because a lot of people don't. Like some people are just like they grew up learning it or whatever they did, and then that's just what they know. They never question it. They're never like, okay, well, let me look deeper at this. What is this? And should I really believe in it?
Well,
and I've met so many people who don't do that.
That's not in the nature of my spirit nor my intention as a teacher in this life. And if you're to be a good teacher, you have to be a great student.
Which means you have to ask questions.
Your teachings are only a fraction of what you've learned, truly. It's like what you've held on to. Although there's all these explanations and words thrown out at you, it's kind of like I only buy what I need from the grocery store, although there's a ton of things in the grocery store. Because I know I can come back to the grocery store. And it's like God is the grocery store full of consciousness. And I'm only coming and taking what I need to make this meal, to make sense of where I'm at right now. And so if I believe more in where I'm going than where I'm at, I'm inherently going to be hungrier in this metaphorical sense for knowledge. And so in order to find knowledge over time, you realize there's truths and then there's higher truths. Someone discovers gravity and then someone discovers flight. Both are real and they exist.
Yeah.
But there's truths and higher truths. And that may not be the greatest analogy of all time. Kind of clunky. A metaphor, I guess, or whatever the hell it is. I'm not the best with grammar and shit like that.
Josh, what the fuck are you doing, dude?
I don't know.
Picking your nose with whatever the hell that is in your hand? Little weirdo.
I don't know, but Josh and Zack, also,
yeah.
When my best friend died,
yeah.
I discovered and was led to God through Jesus, right? And discovered the Holy Spirit within myself, right?
Amen, brother.
And then I discovered meditation and the law of attraction, which further explained to me things about Christianity and Jesus himself as the teacher that he is, and a miracle worker, that made more sense to me and gave me more clarity on these things that the Bible itself in a dogmatic way couldn't explain to me. And then, shit. Like when my dad passed away recently, all I can say is the moment, like when my dad died, like in an instant, I feel like my very being and my consciousness like evolved and changed. And my personal belief is that, and knowing is that my dad's spirit helped me and empowered me in my quest for understanding. And then I'm led to this moment where I get on the airplane ride to go see my cousin get married. And I went from someone who, before my plane ride, it was like I had the most active brain in the world. It was just so full, I could never turn my brain off from thinking, to having my brain completely scrambled and having much less thought actively going on in my mind from my own conjuring. It was like I was speaking so much that I couldn't hear what was being said to me. And after this, now that I can't really handle blue light and things like that, or fluorescent lights and all these other sensations, it's led me to this point in my quest where I'm okay, and I'm glad in a sense that I no longer can do things that used to give me joy, like sit and watch movies and shit like that. Because it's just too much. And so I've just been sitting and, uh, listening. And when the quieter you are, the louder that frequency is. And I believe in purpose. I think, in a sense, all of this is written. And there's aspects of life that are so meaningful and purposeful in the grand scheme of not only who you are and are meant to become and in your walk through this life, but also in the grand scheme of destiny. You cannot miss it. It is so who you are. There's no way around it. It is set in stone. And then I believe there's other things that might be up to, that we feel at least freedom about, or I don't know. I haven't wrapped my head around all of that, but I'm okay with not understanding. And I'm okay with, I've just given up. I give it all up. You know? It's like, it can sound badass when I say, um, you can break my back, but I'll still stand up. You can scramble my fucking mind, but I'll still make sense of something,
Yeah.
You can break my heart, but I'll still continue to love, because you can't break my spirit. And in that sense, people may enjoy the sentiment behind it, and I even do. I dig who I am. I honor that shit, and I love it, and I'm proud of it. But at the same time, it's also not me. I know, it's bigger than me. It's God, and I no longer care to need my name next to the credit. Like I'd rather give it up for the sake of getting more, because I don't want to feel without that. I think it's beautiful that it's bigger than me and that I'm just the instrument through which these things come. And I think it's really cool and I'm proud of it. And I'm learning that and how to develop that more and sharing that. That's why it's like I don't want to keep, no matter how grand that discovery is, necessarily like to myself, although I do believe there are some moments in life that are sacred and for us to honor and that I'll take to the grave with me because no one else in physical terms deserves to share that moment outside of that
Yo,
person with me.
what if they learned how to transfer consciousness and you never had to die? Would you do it?
We already do.
No, but like for like not, but like remember everything. I mean, like you keep everything, all your memories,
I don't think I'm
everything.
supposed to. I think that takes away the beauty of life. I think your memories are ingrained in your spirit, and in the evolution of it. And we are
So, so if they figured out a way to do it, you wouldn't do it.
no, I wouldn't.
Okay,
Yeah.
Josh, would you do it?
Would I stay alive and
You'd
conscious?
you'd be the same exact person, but you might be in a robot body.
So like they save all my memories, everything to a chip,
Yeah,
and
they
either give me a new body or I'm
either
a
a
robot.
robot body or a new flesh human bodies. They just know how to transfer your
And I would keep my
essence.
consciousness.
Everything about you is the same. You're just in a new body, and you
I
get to
would.
pick your
I
new
wouldn't.
body.
No, I wouldn't do that.
Why fear the loss? Like I think there's
Like,
something more beautiful in the
yeah.
discovery, and it's like it's awesome that I don't remember
Seeing
that in detail because I remember it in essence. I remember the texture of it. I feel at home with those things that resonate with me. It's so a part of me. I don't need you to fucking tell me and for me to remember a literal memory. I think that might be maddening. I think what's really cool is the blank slate of the moment being everything that you are and will become, and
So you believe in reincarnation, basically, right?
oh yeah,
Okay.
100%. I don't understand how it necessarily works
Yeah. No, I just wanted to make sure. So I was like, wait a second. That's
or
not
like
like reincarnation.
all the dimensions and things of that nature, but I know that I don't need to know.
Yeah.
I'm just a part of this river of God, and that's cool.
All right.
Not that,
I respect it.
because to me, I'm like, say you put me in a robot body, but I still have all the memory of what I was. I feel that would probably strip away some of the beauty of being a robot and having that experience. And I think
Maybe.
when you segment it out, it kind of becomes like way doper.
way doper. All
I'm
right,
still a
man.
bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, you're sounding like a fucking. I don't know how to explain it,
I'm many things, bro.
but
Yeah. You are something. I'll tell you that.
bro. So what do you think about this gas vehicle ban?
I don't. My
Oh,
brother
in
was telling me something
California?
about
or Washington.
Oh, but not in
Washington.
Oregon?
Oregon's probably not going to be too far away.
Oh,
Fucking
my.
watch. Who knows though? Maybe
They're
maybe
banning gas vehicles?
The sale of new gas vehicles, so you can only buy them within certain. I think it's like it has to have 2,000 miles on it or more
it might
for it
be
to be used.
an interesting progressive thing if they don't try to ration it out like my brother said that they're looking to do, because that's just a backdoor to fucking communistic society, and I don't think it's
And
necessary or profitable, and it goes against everything that is not only American but the spiritual essence
Well,
of
dude,
freedom.
there was in somewhere in LA, not LA, but California, I think LA. They put out an article talking about the ban on gas vehicles and that everyone would have to go electric. And then the very next article is uh
The grid can't keep up.
don't charge your electric vehicles because it's gonna be super hot. And so it's like I get that we should try to limit gas vehicles, but fucking taking them away entirely is not okay, especially when we don't really even have clean energy to begin with, because people
Yeah.
are driving
Well, you gotta
electric
think.
cars powered by a coal plant, which
Well,
Yeah.
doesn't
dude,
make any sense.
you gotta understand that like the government, in terms of like politicians and shit, they're not getting the fucking cream of the crop because anyone like
Yeah,
smart
for real. Anyone like
probably doesn't want
Elon
to
Musk or
fucking
Jeff Bezos,
do that shit and
they're
think
not.
for everybody because they
Yeah,
understand the power and the necessity of freedom, and that truly when we decide to unite um, on a conscious level with pure intentions, you know, the thoughts and what will be created out of that imagination and that space,
yeah,
that ethereal want, for more and a better solution will create what we're looking to make. And so um the more or the less rules that they can pass that they'll have to undo later is probably the better thing about or the best thing about politics in a sense. And I think um as we move forward in life, my thought was always like, why the fuck is this not like a world thing? Like rather than making us pay for resources, like so countries actually have to have a
yes.
monetary thing. Like why the fuck don't we
Why don't we just?
figure out
Yeah,
how to do this on a world level, and then energy's Gucci, we can have economics separate of this from here.
it's language barriers. I fully believe it. It's the
Yeah.
fact that we speak different languages. There's a fucking if we could speak Chinese, or if we could just speak the same language and just talk to someone random from China, we would probably get along because we can understand each other. We
Mm-hmm.
would
Mm,
be able to figure things out. It's like they
Yeah.
have words for things that English can't even explain.
mm. That's a beautiful thought.
Yeah. So it's like that could happen, but we all don't speak the same language as fluent as each other. I fully believe that shit.
I hope someone watches this podcast and gets back to me about some of this shit, though. That'd be
His Instagram's in the bio or the
It's okay,
description.
man. I couldn't tell you what we were talking about 2 seconds ago. So
well, fucking some days that's me. I can tell you what. Some moments,
we're
it's
just
so
very
weird.
mind
You
boggled
know,
right now.
I had like a really good day in terms of like
I'm glad you had a
overall
good day.
concussion effects, like still super sensitive to light, but not like anything that happened. Bro, the other day I had the fucking craziest shit ever happen to me while I was at work,
What?
bro. Like I literally thought I was fucking dying, bro. Like for real.
Yo,
Like
what?
I can't make this shit up. It sounds goofy
What?
when I say it, bro. I was just sitting
You thought you were
and
dying?
yeah, like I don't know,
Uh-uh.
like my speech
Oh
was doing
boy.
good that day, but there were too many sensations or like things going on at once, like
That's the
my
devil coming at you.
throughout the day, like my balance was off and like the light was getting to me, and while I'm trying to have to talk to somebody and I'm hearing so many other voices all at
The
once from
angels.
people being in the gun store, and guns racking in the background and stuff. It was just super disorienting to me, and I was like, I got to this point where I was like, all right, bro, I need to just sit down. Cause I had like a guilt, like I'm used to being someone that's like a high performing person, whatever,
Yeah.
and so I was like, I gotta just sit down and do these forms. So I'm like sitting there and I'm writing these forms, and I get this like weird, crazy, rippy head rush, like type stuff in the back of my head that kind of just like, and I feel these tingles through my brain. And I'm like, what the fuck? And the light off the counter was fucking with me. So I was like, yo, what the hell is happening, And I sit back like this, and my like shins down go completely fucking numb. Not like tingling, but like numb. I can't feel my feet, and I'm like trying to like wiggle my toes. I can see my feet moving, but I can't feel them. And I'm like, what? And then my arms go numb, like across my forearms, and I'm like, yo. And I stand up, and my balance is like crazy off, and my hearing sounds like I'm in like a fishbowl or some shit, right? And like underwater, and like I look at my coworker, and I went to walk around the counter, um, and I literally just felt like the only way I can describe it is if you can imagine in the movies where like the screen like goes black and like closes in like that. Bro, I felt that, but it was my fucking like consciousness was like going out, and my heart's like racing, and I'm literally like looking for a spot on the ground where I can fall safely, because I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna die or if I'm having a heart attack or like what the fuck is happening, but I know I'm going down right now. So like I sit down against the case, and I say a prayer, and I just start breathing, and I start telling my coworker, look, I don't know what's happening to me, but I need you to drive me to this medical facility that was close by right now, because I don't know if I'm even gonna make it, you know? And he gave me some water, and the water kind of helped a little bit. And I got into the car, and they wound up taking me over there, and I had them test like my sugar levels, and they were a little high, but I had just drank a Coke and ate lunch.
Yeah.
And it's like I'm not diabetic. They checked my blood work and stuff, so like they really don't know what the fuck is happening to me, but like I can be Gucci, and then all at once, like out of fucking nowhere, this shit happens, and I'm like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like literally think you're gonna fucking die. Like that's
Well, you
fucking
know what's
insane.
amazing? Even with all of the brain stuff you got going on, your ability to explain a sensation is still intact, and that I applaud, because that was
Well,
a fantastic explanation.
well, thank you, bro. Like
Good job, bro.
it's weird, dude. Like I can explain to you in a sense kind of like what my DMT experience was like back years ago.
Bro, that
Shit like that.
DMT, it be
Where
hitting
I know a
different.
lot of people that are like, I don't know how the fuck to put that into words. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is kind of cool, because it's still like, I don't know. It just comes to me, bro. And I love it. Like,
Okay.
Cool, bro.
that's like my superpower, but
I
it's
wish
not
I was
even.
able to do that.
You are able to do that. You just think that you're
Yeah.
not.
Yeah.
That's
I
what I'm
don't think
trying to
so.
tell you, bro. Like, every human being has the capacity to tap into divine knowledge. And it's
Dude, what?
almost like
How?
it's it's not you, um you're the conduit for it, right? So like maybe I'm the one that's speaking it to you, but maybe Albert Einstein is speaking through me in terms of like a thought. When you think about it in frequency, like he doesn't have to be physically like alive for the echo of his vibration and frequency to go through eternity, because he still lives as a thought wavelength and as a spiritual consciousness amidst the sea that is out there, you know? And when you look at it in terms of physics, it can actually, you know, somewhat make sense, um, of consciousness. And you don't necessarily need something like electricity as a metric for measuring it, because it only becomes electricity when it's transmitted through the brain in a physical apparatus we call a body. But it's like a radio frequency just running through the air. You know what I mean?
You're melting my face again. Fuck, bro.
And it's like if you're tuned to that frequency, then you receive what's on that channel being broadcast. Where people get all fucking kerfuddled is that
That's a funny word.
Bruh.
you're well, that's the thing. It's like you are it. It's so under your nose. Like no one had to fucking give you this. Shout out to Abraham Hicks. You guys, I've told you guys to read
Shout
that book
out
about the
Abraham
law of-
Hicks.
Yeah, the law of attraction. Esther and Jerry Hicks. Look,
That's the man.
great teachers.
Yeah.
But when you break frequency down into simplified terms and think of it as like emotion, right? When you're emotionally in a space, the thoughts that correlate with it always reflect and amplify the essence of that emotion, whether it's positive or negative.
Well,
So if you pay attention to how you feel, you will find whatever remnants your brain or like words your brain will use to express to you what you're feeling in deeper terms based upon how badly you want to understand that and how sensitive you are to what you're feeling. So it's just calibrating yourself to your natural frequency by calming your output, you know? And so you raise back to that natural state, which is the essence of all we come from. There's a God frequency, a fast moving, high speed, very lightweight frequency with no resistance. But
What
if
if
you have
all of this is explained in just the brain is improving? And we're just like through our experiences learning more. We're not tapping into anything. We're literally just our brain is processing things in a new way. It's like updating every time.
Can you expound on that more?
Well, so
Dude.
this is a new thought.
The way you
So,
said more.
Fuck, I'm trying to remember what it is you said that sparked that.
I don't fucking know because I can't tell you what I said. I'm just right in this moment.
Yeah, we're in this moment, baby.
Anyways, no, but what I'm saying is,
We live.
actually, I even forgot what I just said. What
I
the
don't
fuck?
even know what you
That's because
said.
you're on the cutting edge of thought, son. If
Annoying.
if you allow that resistance to come in by the feeling of disbelief or guilt or inability to think, it bogs your receptivity and you now are no longer able to tap into what you were just tapped into. We experience this all the time in sexuality.
Oh yeah, I was basically
Sexuality.
saying, what if all of that is bullshit and it's just our brain updating?
What do you
Because
mean
we're always
by
taking in new information, right? And when you talk about like, okay, so let's say you put in the work to be able to unlock what you're calling divine knowledge, right? But what if that all that work and your life experience leads your brain to just updating to be able to think in a more effective and more accurate way?
Once you spend enough time, I guess maybe in meditation or just with clarity or non-thought, and simply being here, with no real ulterior motive, and you receive, I guess, a download in terms of your analogy, you know, without you clicking anything in your brain or trying to update. You're just updated. You know that it wasn't the work that you put in. You know, like the work is effortless. So how does that make sense? That's the great paradox, you know?
Wait, what do you mean? Like, the work is
The
effortless.
great paradox.
The work is effortless. When you have no resistance and no real ulterior motive or intention, right? I'm not trying to put the work in. The work is already done. I'm just the one that receives it. The benefit of...
No, that's not what I'm saying. Because you still have to learn and go through those experiences to be able to do those updates.
Yeah.
If you're
I
not
don't know.
doing it, then you're not gonna change or improve the way that you think at all.
I think
Yeah.
it's kind of a chicken or the egg situation at that point, because you're kind of talking about thought and emotional response to thought, which determines the receptivity to the kind of thought that you get. And in terms of enthusiasm for you, the action at a certain point will become inevitable because you're so inspired and it sounds so fun or joyous to do so that you just simply cannot not do so. And so once you begin looking at your life and considering momentum gathering upon any thought that you've thought and any experience that you've had that has brought your evolution this far, you can't, your choices are almost already done. They're inevitable. Today is old news. All your other decisions you've made in the past have made you predisposed, and based on your emotional state in this moment, your choice is almost not your choice. It's already made.
Wow.
You were gonna do it anyways.
Whoa,
There you
that's
go.
crazy.
And so we only notice when we have these moments of synchronicity that, like,
Dude,
all this came together.
what if God is just no? What if God is just a scientist from another universe,
or
and
or
him
in a
as a scientist,
simulation.
he created more people. He was the first person to create more people, and then he wrote his own history. And he created us by some science project.
Kang the Conqueror.
Yeah, bro.
From Marvel.
What if we have a Kang the Conqueror, dude? Like,
that's crazy.
I've never heard of that, but that should be a fucking movie.
It is a movie.
It is, bro. It's about to be.
Oh.
He unknowingly just did that, actually, I think.
That's dope.
Yeah.
But you see
Wait,
what I'm
what?
saying? When you start thinking in different terms,
I just
you know
thought
what
it sounded
like,
cool.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, is at a certain point, does it not become to enjoy the experience?
Yeah, it's all about having fun and being happy, bro. That's my purpose
Facts.
in
That's
life.
true.
Being
That's
happy.
fact. See,
Yeah.
but
I don't give a.
everyone nowadays wants a. What is it?
Instant gratification.
Everyone wants an easy life.
Yeah.
They just want, oh, here's this. I want this. Oh, I want my life to go this way. Oh, I'm going to sell my house and make this much money no matter what.
I'm going to agree with this person.
Yeah, everyone wants it easy. Oh, I'm going to make this amount just from sitting here. But no one wants
kinda-
like the rough, like tough life, like acting like a addict or something. Like they don't want a crazy life. They don't want something they have to go through. They just want an
It's
easy,
because they
simple life.
know when they have a hard life, they can't, or they
But it's not as enjoying
they won't
to.
have the time to complain.
What if
But it's
we
not going
were
to be as
hard life.
enjoyable. I feel like those moments are what makes life enjoyable.
Okay, so when you take a step back from that, right, and you look at reincarnation, what you do in this life
I don't
seems
feel fulfilled after I do something, but when I come up with the or when there's something I can't do, that's when I'm like, yo, that's when I'm happy.
Hmm.
When I think I'm down, that's when I'm actually happy. But when
It
I'm up
sounds
in
like you
life,
have
I'm like,
so
dude,
Zach,
I need something to fulfill myself.
you're touching on a lot of different things. So
Sorry. Okay.
So sorry, I got distracted with
My mind's jumping, dude.
text. Okay, so you're touching on a couple different things. One, it's
Yeah.
like if you step back and kind of start looking at life as you living multiple lives or something, what you do right now almost seems somewhat less important. And so, what if someone who's living a life that might not necessarily be fulfilling uh, in the sense of if I'm watching someone going through and struggling with something that's hard, right? You might be like, why are you doing that? And you're in this cycle again and again and again, right? But if you look at it from the sense of purpose and what it means in terms of learning your ability to create your life and to have um, some sort of power within yourself rather than feeling helpless, maybe you'll only be able to recognize your true power from being forced into a place of helplessness. Because if it was just as easy as I want it and then you have it, because there was no struggle there, you don't know how to contextualize it. Because you're told in this life, because we make statues about people that go through very hard struggles, right? They overcome and we give them more applause, while someone who just did it super easily, who's truly the most powerful creator or the more powerful creator in that sense, because they did it with less momentum required to overcome the resistance of disbelief or this hardship, right? They go unnoticed, right?
So you think it's smart to take the easy route,
Well, what if yeah, in a sense, it's like,
or
what
it's
if we were
a less stressful?
no, it's what if we were set up to win?
Yeah.
What if we really were, what if
Oh,
life
that's
really was
crazy.
set up for us to win? And so
Would
if
it be as
you
enjoyable?
this is the law of attraction, bro. Like attracts like, right?
Wow.
You get back the essence of that which you emanate.
Okay.
Whether you decide that you want to make something small or something big.
So like what I want out of life.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you can find the essence of what you want and act in your current reality as if it's already done, the end from the beginning, right? Then you will have it.
Yo, Zach, tell me
So
how I
did you
can
not
I'm
hold on?
understanding everything.
So did you
I
not
get
have
Kemper.
did you not have that thing that you wanted in the very moment that you identified that you asked for?
Yeah.
And that's why people don't understand God. because they can't
Whoa.
accept that what they asked for was granted in the moment that they asked for it, but their physical eyes don't believe it because they're wanting to defy time and space in the literal sense to move
Yeah.
you from your objective here to that objective there, which takes time and
Bro.
circumstance for it to unfold.
Oh my.
And so when you look at the next thing that you were talking about,
Yeah.
which is feeling a need about
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
You are, from what it sounds like to me and what you're describing, you're emotionally attached to a negative stimulus before you're willing to change. But you can
Yeah.
change that, right? And you don't have to feel down before you're willing to get up. You can just be up and want to get higher
Whoa.
and become attached to a positive stimulus of emotion.
Whoa. That's smart, man.
It's simple,
Yeah.
but it's so simple that we make it complex when we try to use our physical eyes to discern what our spiritual eyes show us we want and is
Wow.
truly there for us. And so we
Wow.
discredit our creative power as an extension of God. That's why they say that we're created in the image of God. We are not God that created all of this, although we are a part of God. So I don't know. It's kind of we're one and the same, but in our own little way.
You're mind-boggling, bro. Like, we're talking about some next level stuff right here, dude. And you're just defining it so simply, dude, and elegantly.
But it's
Like,
not really me, as even though it's me.
it's like
Man,
God
I think
speaking
we're
through
more
you.
powerful than that.
Dude, no,
I think
God
I
God
don't
is
want to give
speaking through.
credit to someone else for what I've done. Fuck that.
Yo.
No, because I've done some shit that I'm fucking happy about. Ain't no motherfucker telling me that I didn't choose to do that. It was picked for me. I think,
Aw,
listen,
dude.
I think God gave us free will. If you want to believe in God, believe in God. But I
Oh,
believe that He
yeah.
gave us free will to get to our final destination. Do we have a destiny? I don't know. But whatever we're doing, it's only gonna happen
You have a
because we
very
can't.
powerful energy.
Wow,
Bro,
bro.
I'm tired of people telling me that we ain't in charge of what the fuck we're doing.
We
have to have
are.
free will.
We
The only
are.
thing that is destined for us is us to die. We don't know what the fuck
Let's
happens after
go.
that.
Yeah. It's crazy.
But let's
I-
fucking live it. Let's stop
Yeah.
fucking giving other things credit for what you
Yeah.
and yourself are doing.
Let's get
It's
it,
also
bro.
kind of why I have a beef with astrology. Because now you're
Yeah.
blaming your bad attitude on the fucking stars.
Yeah,
come
dude.
on.
Those gas chamber things.
Take responsibility. We are more powerful than we know. And it's all
We
about your
are.
fucking brain. Get that shit right. Law of attraction. When you're thinking about the things that you want the most and you believe that you can get them, you're going to be making the most subconscious decisions to get to that. And you're going to get to it. If
Yeah,
you really
man.
want it, you're going to make it
Yeah.
happen.
You will.
I think it's just we are more powerful than some people give us credit for.
Yeah. I mean, look at the things that we do, bro. The things that humans have created. Like, is Kemper frozen?
Hold on.
Oh.
He technically is, but I think he's on purpose.
I'm sending a text. Sorry.
Oh.
It's all good, man. But
No.
yeah, dude, I think we need to give ourselves more credit.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what else to say. But I don't know. I think if you think that way, you have to be more responsible for your emotional responses. Because now you're not thinking like, oh, well, something's making me do this. Now you're thinking, oh, I'm
Yeah.
allowing myself to do this.
Hold on.
Now it's on you.
Yeah. It's a crazy way to look at life, man.
Yeah. It gives you a sense of responsibility for other people.
Yeah.
Or at
Man,
least people close to you.
dude, like I said, when did I ever get friends that are such young scholars? I'm like,
Can you guys see me moving again?
Yep.
when did we all get so smart?
Hey, can you see me moving?
Yeah, I see you
we can.
moving.
All right. I just wanted to make sure I didn't have to jump out and jump back in.
Nah, yes, sir.
I think
You're in
in
here.
regards to what you're saying, Zach,
Yeah.
I haven't quite wrapped my head around all of it. I think that when I look at God and I really think about the analogy of fatherhood, it makes more sense of it to me in that um if I was a parent, right, I would want for my kid what they want for themselves in the best way that it could come about without hurting them. And then if I look at that across the universe, it's like I think that God set us up and like we choose our intention as spirits before we get into this body, you know? And from there we kind of are like, all right, let's see if we can find our way to this end point, right? And he gives us our spirit, and our spirit gives us guidance that comes directly tethered from God and divinity, and our higher conscious, right? And so we have like 2 points of focus. We have our spirit that holds this waypoint and this beacon drawing to us everything that we've ever decided we want for ourselves up until this life and in this life, right? To expand the evolution of our soul as an extension of God, but still one part of God, not separate from it, but in a kind of way it is. Kind of that part is a little clunky. But and then we have our chosen state of focus, right? Based on the thoughts that we're currently choosing and our belief, right? So there's different levels to how pure that thought is and how in alignment we are. And then God gives us our emotions to tell us, like a GPS, if this is truly a thought that's in alignment with what we want for ourselves and what God wants for us as the greater whole of our influence in this life, and then what we're choosing to think right now. And it's kind of like that's the game. And the more that you become desiring to be in that frequency where you harmonize with God, naturally you want what God wants because God wants what you want for yourself. But you want to become aware of what that is in this moment so you can choose it consciously. And so it isn't maybe that you don't have free will, but there's some things that are so important, just like a dad making sure you get to a sporting event or that you get that present that you really wanted this year, for Christmas. It's like there's moments in life that are just so important and impactful, not just to you, but to that you be there you know? You have like a responsibility to be there, not only for yourself, but for the greater good of all, that you have to be there. And we experience those things as like deja vu, like, whoa, I've been here before. And it's like, yeah, you couldn't miss it. It was on the schedule for your life. But then there's other things where it's like, yeah, go do your thing. And that's kind of how I look at it. And that's like the closest thing that I can come to it. And I think some people really wrestle with that very thing that you're talking about. And I think that energy and that passion that drives you is something that I must admit, like, well, I said, wow, you have a very strong energy. It's like I wasn't rooted enough in my own belief of what I know about that to not be knocked off. And so now this explanation is a little more clunky than it would be if I didn't have resistance in myself, in my ability to express it, feeling that you doubt it, regardless of what I'm saying to you. So it's not quite as pure as if I just said it. So it might not hit home in the same way, but I hope that kind of makes sense of it in a little, some kind of way, you know? And I think people tie
Yeah.
God to religion so heavily um that it, I don't know, I think if you tie God to religion so heavily it might fuck with the actual like purity that God is, because a lot of people have connotations that might not align with one faith or another, um although they do believe in God, they just call it a different name or have, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I think God is more than that. Not just a frequency, but the creator of frequency itself in all things, that are, pure. And then, in a sense, that in order to create that, you have to allow the absence of purity to exist. And then when you give free will to choose, um, you see that it's like, why wouldn't you want to choose something that's beautiful and pure unnecessarily? But if you step back far enough, it's like the hurting of other people in the grand scheme of everything, if we live many lives, and you look at how when you hurt someone, it actually creates a desire for more good in the world, even if that person's not the one that can receive it in that moment, um, it becomes less personal, and there's still a lot of evil shit. Um, but in that whole equal and opposite reaction, like in a spiritual sense, you can't try to steal someone's freedom without creating a cage for yourself emotionally and psychologically. And it doesn't mean that that wasn't like a very tragic thing that really did happen and fucking was terrible, but maybe the purpose of what comes out of that was a lesson and an experience that that person on the other side of that um, appreciates having learned, because it gave a greater depth to contextualize experience as a whole. Although it was a terrible thing, in the very literal aspects of it. And that's why it's like you can't confuse God's presence um, as absence when people choose to do evil things in the absence of God. And that's why it's important for you to tap in and live spiritually pure, so you don't do those things. Because if all you believe is in like your short-sighted physicality, and you think of things as so finite, you'll inherently hurt people regardless of how good or bad your life starts off or whatever. However well-meaning you are, you go about it in a way that's less than wholesome. I don't know, it's some deep stuff, man. And I'm
Yeah,
not
dude.
I don't know.
I'm barely
I really
processing.
don't like the whole shit where God's making the decisions for us, because then
Yeah.
then I demand a fucking explanation for all the evil shit people have done. It's like, you
True.
can't say he's like, if he's determining every step someone makes,
Why is he doing that?
why
Yeah.
that's not greater good, motherfucker. I don't know
No.
what to tell you.
well, I don't know. It's
No.
really hard
Yeah.
to explain of like when in terms of like I don't know, reincarnation and equal and opposite reactions and things. This is all like theoretical. If you take it to like a very literal sense, it's very offensive and 100% real and absolutely stomach curdling because it sounds like um, it's when someone like me is trying to explain a theoretical concept and then you bring in like rape, right? That's like, no,
What?
how the
You said the
fuck?
R word.
Yeah, no, because like
Why?
if you guys want to take it to extremes, it's like there
Yeah.
are some people, and in my walk through life, I feel that you can only stop truly evil people because they've in a very real physical way. You got to kill them motherfuckers off because they're not gonna stop, not in this lifetime. And the greatest gift that you can give to them is the chance at another lifetime or an end to this misery that's causing them to do this, or just plain stopping it because they want to do this at this point by being so fucked up themselves, right? And I think that it's because of when you take it in terms of frequency and you look at where people harmonize, right? There's God, which is high frequency, which is natural to our spirit, which feels good emotionally. And there is low frequency, right? Which is at the ultimate bottom of disparity and helplessness, um, those raw negative emotions, right? And someone that harmonizes there for so long, um, feeling that they've been beaten by life, will eventually turn around and start beating other people because it feels better to beat someone else than to be beaten. But neither of those things are positive. You know what I mean? They're still on that lower frequency because that person has not learned how to take that step from anger to frustration to hope. And so because they're so, when you've harmonized at that low frequency for so fucking long and you experience something that is polar opposite to it, it's so jarring and you can't make that quantum leap, you know, um, from this emotion to that emotion and be able to harbor it, you know, in a consistent way that you don't believe it. So even when
Yeah.
someone tries to do something good for you, you won't accept it and you go right back to doing these terrible things. And those are who will change from someone who say is a killer, right? To someone who has these epiphanies that killing is bad and no longer desires to kill is something that as human beings and as me personally, Kemper Woodruff, I don't know. I don't know who will and will not change, but I do know that if someone is in the process of trying to kill someone else or harm someone else, like in the form of like rape or something, it's on you that have to physically stop that person. You know? And these are very, very real things and hard subject matters to tackle, you know, and to say, "Oh, hold on, take a step back from it and understand that when this terrible thing happened in the grand scheme of the universe and thought and frequency, right, there became a huge expansion of a desire for a more beautiful life. But how do you justify it in the face that this person that has been physically tortured and violated might never be the person that's able to resonate with that frequency in this lifetime and receive that desire for a more beautiful life? Although someone else may. And it's not until you start looking at like, and I don't want to say karma as in like, I think it's more dharma, you know, like your spiritual walk through life, what you want to learn. You have to go through certain things to evolve, you know, and maybe it's not as severe as the circumstance that I'm saying, but it may be a different kind of violation that hurts you in a very deep way, a very deep betrayal or something that teaches you um, how to forgive, because how can you teach forgiveness if you have no trespasses against you? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
so
do,
like
bro.
it's
It's crazy.
it's fucked up when you really personalize it and you start looking at people's reality. I understand that. I'm not justifying that, nor am I victim blaming.
Yeah.
You know, and I want to make that extremely clear.
Oh yeah.
But I I can't not um look at it in an aspect, and I'm still only like I'm human in the sense of like I don't know how you physically make sense of that, except for when you're in that moment and you're just, here's the choice in front of you. Do you act or do you not? And it's that fucking simple. And understanding that no matter how great a person you are, you do have the capacity to do both good and evil.
No.
You know, because I can say, on a human level, you know, I understand that I've been very wrong as well as very right. You know, and it wasn't as much of um my physical doing as a spiritual calling out of these habits of vibration. And maybe it was only in these moments that I felt so violated by life where I was broken, you know, that I put out that emanation and called out, and then was able to receive it in that powerful of a way that it stirred my soul and made me consciously aware of it. Now, so you can say on the one hand, like, and I may be, um, you know, like that's why when you guys may like be like, damn, like you learned a lot or something, like in the other sense, it's like it's cost a lot because perspective is the most expensive thing in the world, and that it costs you through an experience, you know, and you have to be vulnerable to being violated and learn how to overcome that violated feeling to become an ambassador for other people and show them that there's another side to this freaky moment of experience that you've lived, and that on the other side of it, it's equal and opposite is way more beautiful, you know, and you become this ambassador for good, and then you can have painful things come your way, and that vibration doesn't, it stops with you in the sense that it's transmitted into a positive out output through you in physical terms. And it starts with your emotional ability to shift that frequency within yourself,
Bro.
and you return back to God's
We're
harmony
we're
within
hitting a
yourself.
lot, man. It's crazy. It's been an hour and a half.
Hopefully, no one's fucking spasming out while they fucking listen to this
Dude, my mind has been blown this whole podcast.
shit. Best one yet?
Dude, yes. And funniest. The funniest and the best. All of it, bro. I've been a comedian this whole time. I'm funny. I make people laugh. All right. That's one thing.
Shut up.
That's just making this podcast good. It's all about me, man.
Yeah,
I gotta be positive, bro.
all
Positive
the success
vibes.
the podcast has had is
Yes, it is all for me, man. That's what Kemper said. You gotta be positive.
Yeah,
Why think
bro.
negative to be positive when you can be positive and then be more positive?
And I have to apologize for clunkiness and maybe the severity of which I talk, because I'm not trying to downplay savagery in
Yeah.
any
No,
way. And it definitely
you're right, man.
it's hard to stand firmly rooted in purity as and acknowledge things from my human perspective and not a true divine spiritual perspective, which you can't do when you don't have that connection within yourself. And so there's things that um I've had to deal with a lot of the horrors that men do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And also, it's like, if you do something in your head, or if you do a different kind of sin that is just as severe, are you not um just as bad one versus another? And that's like, there's weird shit with that. There's a lot of weird fucking shit. But at the end of the day, I think I'm a good dude, and I'm proud of myself.
Yeah, man.
And I've also come very close to doing some very bad things, and have done some very bad things also, that I have to be accountable for, to myself. And it's like, once you realize that you've received mercy when you should have had hard justice put down on you, you try to be more merciful. And then you understand also in time, um, that there is a place for like righteous anger, you know, and you figure it out in the moment.
Yeah.
Bro. Holy.
And sometimes
That's
like,
crazy.
what the reason why we look at people who are true warriors and ambassadors for good, people who have to do things that uh, are harmful in one sense, especially in the beginning and over time, say, look at literal soldiers, who have to, in their mind, step back and become okay with killing, because who you're killing is fucking doing terrible, horrible things to people, right? And then on the other hand, there's other people that you might be shooting at in the street, and turn around and be like, oh, that person's just me in a different country, or might be.
Yeah.
What?
And that shit fucks with you. And like, I'm not a soldier, so I can't say it, but in listening to many, many podcasts and stories, and just trying to seek, um like, I admire so much um people that have been in the military, and people that fight and stand for something that is is righteous, and well-meaning, and will take those violations to their heart and figure it out for the greater good of right now stopping this problem, and what that means to them and their spirit and all that kind of stuff, and to God is like beyond me. That's not my reality. This is my reality, and I'm supposed to be a teacher through my experience in this way, you know. But it's something that I very much am drawn to, um, for many reasons. And I was really, really looking to um, actually join the military at multiple points in my life, and had my best friend Paul not been murdered, like that was always my plan, when I got out, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm I'm gonna join, and it was always like my thing. I would see like the recruiters walking around on my campus, and oftentimes I would sit and talk to them, and I was like, yeah, I just want to get through my schooling and stuff. And then, um, you know, after that happened, it was like it just took my life down a different path, and I tried to go back that route, and it's like so crazy that I wound up going and doing that firefighting thing, and I was planning on joining the military when I got out of that once I made a little bit of money, so I'd go in with money, and then we would do the wonderful entertainment thing, um, like since the remotely like this, But then I wound up getting hit in that car accident on the freeway, which wound up fucking up my back and breaking 2 discs in my spine. And now I'm older, way older than I was when this stuff happened to Paul, because I was only like barely 19. I was fresh out of high school. It was the summer of when I got out of high school, right? Um, and then, me, I was looking and I was like, all right, well, the cutoff for night, Mom. I love you. Well, I don't sleep much these days anyways, but
Who does, man?
yeah, it's weird. My spinal injury makes it kind of hard right now. Um, but yeah, you cat. Sit down if you're sitting. I don't know where I was at. Oh, but you know, after getting like rear-ended and that shit happening to my back, I went from being like, oh hell yeah, I can totally. I looked at all the qualifications because I wanted to get into SWIC and the Navy. You know, I was like, I can fucking do those Navy qualifications. I mean, once you get into SWIC selection, it's probably different. And gets way more intense. And they weed people out. But I knew that base level of athleticism, I was like, bro, 10 fucking pull-ups, I could do that no matter fucking what. And I was like, all right, 40 sit-ups, 40 push-ups in 2 minutes, bro, I'm busting that out. No worries. Running that mile in like, I don't know, it was like a mile and a half in like 12 minutes. I was like, easy, fuck out of here. And then I was like, all right, the swimming one I was on the fence with. I was like, ooh.
Yeah.
I was like, the swimming one might be a doozy, but I
Yeah.
can learn it. I can learn it, and I was confident in all of that. But after this, I'm like, fuck, and with me now being like 27, going on 28, and
Man,
all the
my boy's getting
happened
up
with
there.
my dad dying this year and my fucking weird brain injury shit, um, seems that God just took my life in a different direction, or like I look at that and it's like maybe I need to read the signs and just admire those people who do these things, you know and understand what is my purpose versus something that is just purposeful in my life, and try to fight whatever fight for the greater good I can from wherever I'm at. You know what I mean? And it might not be the same kind of like frontline fight. And I think it's super naive to now, the older I get, and seeing a lot of the horrible shit that I've seen, even not having been in like frontline combat, to want that reality for my own, you know?
Yeah.
And I think more people need to kind of look at and not overlook uh these these very honorable lessons that true warriors go through.
Imagine when they have robot soldiers, and then people don't have to go through that anymore.
Dude. Nah, imagine they make the Terminator, though.
I don't think there's a fight without spirit, bro.
Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about like, you're sending your guys against their guy.
Yeah.
I
Like,
know.
I don't
Just
know.
I think when we make peace,
But where's the justice in war? Most of the time,
Yeah,
the
bro.
people who lose the war get fucked over.
I think
Yeah,
you just
facts. Look at America.
peace with the nature of war. You know, there's like, and this is goes back to that Miyamoto Musashi book that you're reading.
Yeah.
Alex, he does jujitsu, and we both listen to Joe Rogan and shit, and like I've heard about it a lot. I haven't gotten into reading that book yet, although I want to. But he always would come up to me and say, when you know the way broadly you see it in all things.
Yeah. That's
And
actually a quote in there, yeah.
yeah, when you look at like the nature of like the dynamics of war, right? You
Yeah.
can apply it to many, many different things, and I think that's also why a lot of these men and women that do come back can do great things as business people and life coaches and things like that, um and not everyone's coming back like this broken soldier with PTSD, although there are a lot of people who do wrestle with the problems, or things that are both not only like physical responses um, to triggers and stuff, but horrors that they have seen, and have to learn how to navigate life with that. There's a lot of stuff, and depression takes a lot of people. And that was actually something these two Vietnam vets were talking to me about the other day, because I had just, this was when I had fresh gotten off of that plane and gotten back into work, and I was like really, really having some crazy symptoms where I'm like looking at sheets of paper that I've filled out hundreds of times and I don't know what I'm looking at, and like they just looked at me and like they told me, they were like, don't be surprised when you have some bad days, and like they kind of just gave me a lot of like wisdom and peace, in the sense of like they were like, we lose a lot of good people to depression.
Yeah. For real.
That's why it's important to handle people with love. But I don't know, man. I don't know if do you guys have anything else to add? Because I don't want this podcast to run dry or talk out of my ass.
Dude, it's
Yeah,
been
bro,
almost
I mean-
2 hours. It's been a crazy podcast.
Yeah.
If I added on to anything, we'd be here for another 2 hours.
Yeah.
So.
I don't got anything to add. It's been good. My mind has been
I'm good, bro. That was
full.
fucking fantastic. The most fantastical mind melter of them all.
So far.
Yeah, bro.
So far, the
It was
best is yet to
beautiful.
come, boys. All right, well, I love you guys. I gotta get going. I
Yeah.
hope
Thank
that
you, everyone,